Hello everyone, this is Paul. Welcome to A Common Touch of Fantasy. This is going to be a spoiler review for Toll of the Hounds by Steven Erikson. This is going to be a longer review of me just talking about the book, talking about really important things that happened in this book, game changers, and if you don't want to be spoiled, don't listen to it. This is one of the later books in the series, book number 8. So more than likely the people that are going to watch this are the people that have read this series already, or the people that are trying to decide if they want to read it or not. And because of that, I'm going to have more spoilers in this than usual book reviews because it's so late in the series. Okay? So, forgive me for not holding it up the whole time. It's a large book. I read this during Booktubeathon, and I read the majority of it through 1 week, and that was difficult because this is the longest Malazan book out of all the books, and I spent about 33 hours reading it through that week, about 40 hours overall reading this book, and I read it in probably a 10-day period, basically. And so it was very intense, very exhausting. These are the type of books that usually you would take a month to read if you're more of a casual reader. And I think that because of my condensed timeline, that a lot of the small things that I picked up in the other books that I might have missed during this book. I enjoyed this book, and I thought the plotting was especially good. But I also felt like Steven Erikson is almost going from a fantasy writer to a philosophical writer. And even though I love Steven Erikson's writing, I think that he should stick to this world building. This philosophy stuff is good in small doses, but when the large sections of this book, hundreds of pages, are dealing with philosophical ideas, I find it to be distracting and exhausting to read. It is almost like he took each philosophical idea and then made a character to resemble that, like an archetype of some sort. And I'd never felt that way in the other books, but in this one for sure, all these characters felt like archetypes of ideas and not really characters of themselves. And a lot of the characters are characters from previous books, big overall series type characters, but the philosophical ideas were just hammered into the readers so much so that I had a hard time at times reading this. I did like it a lot. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. But it's not the Malazan book that I thought it was going to be, because so many people talk about Toll of the Hounds as something amazing and the best book in the series. And I think that's mostly because of the ending and the twist at the end. So I think that with this book, I'm starting to get kind of tired of the series. Reaper's Gale was kind of the low point in the series for me. And so coming into this, I was expecting it to be much better and for there to be more resolutions than what we got. And I'm finding myself having less faith in Steven Erikson as a writer for him to kind of wrap up a lot of the plot threads that he is putting into the series in the next 2 books. So I'll be interested to see what he does with the last 2 books to try to bring everything together and have at least like a semblance of an overall story that I can look back on and say, okay, this was the journey that he took me on with this story. It was difficult, confusing at times, yet this was the story that he was trying to tell. And I'm a little worried that that's not going to happen. So, anyways, in this book we have 2 main places. We have Darujistan, which is amazing to come back to because there's so many people in Darujistan that I loved. And then we have people in Coral. And Coral is where we have the Tistandi, Rake set up as the leader. And we have... That's where that huge battle in Memories of Ice was, where... I'm going to missay a lot of these names, so please excuse me. Evodican died, and now he's actually becoming a god himself. He was buried in that mound. Remember, he took all the souls from the Talamos into him, and like he was the shield bearer, I believe. But now he's becoming his own god, and there is another god that is also vying for power, which is the cursed god, I believe. It's not the crippled god. It's a different guy now. And our main story is about what's going on there. The old bridge burners in Darujistan. We have the people on the boat from the previous couple of novels coming into Darujistan, which includes Cutter, Pust, and Spite, and Barathol, and the one lady that was in the camp. Can't think of her name at the moment. So they're coming in and they're grouping up with the bridge burners because they're kind of similar type people. And I found that very interesting. Of course, it's a Malazan book, so new characters are added. And the new characters in this are decent. The Tistandi plotline with Clip and Namander coming to Coral was not my favorite. I have not been a fan of their plotline. I haven't been a fan of theirs in Reaper's Gale. And with this here, it grew on me, but it still wasn't my favorite part of the book. One of the best parts of the book, we have Karsa, and I think her name's Samid, and Traveler, I believe his name. Yeah, Traveler, who is revealed to be Dasem Otor, like the guy that's one of the most powerful people in the Malazan Empire previously. And they're traveling together to Darujistan. And then we have Kalar, he's traveling to Darujistan. And we have an undead dragon going there. So there's this huge convergence of gods, ascendants, humans with powers, all going to Darujistan to set up this huge battle and plotline about Hood and Rake. And more importantly, Rake's sword, Dragnapur, and the chaos world within Dragnapur. Because the world within Dragnapur is almost being overrun by chaos. And so the people on that gigantic moving cart are about to be swallowed by chaos. So, huge spoilers here, guys. What ends up happening is Shadowthorn, Cotillion, Hood, and Rake all have this idea to stop the chaos within Dragnapur by first having the undead army of Hood travel with Hood. Hood becomes actually a real person by a summoning spell, and he is, surprise, he is a the guys with the tusk. I can't think of the name right now. But anyways, yeah, he's one of those guys. And he battles Rake against Hood. And what ends up happening is that Dragnapur, Rake's sword, kills Hood, sends Hood to this chaos dimension, and with that comes the undead army that Hood has to fight against the chaos. And then Rake fights Kalar, I believe. And then Kalar hits Dragnapur, the sword of Rake's, into Rake. And Rake gets hit himself and dies. He sacrifices himself. And he goes into the Dragonper Chaos realm, and he ends up helping them overcome the chaos within that realm. Craziness. During that whole time, the bridge burners are being hunted down and killed. A lot of people die. Very sad. We have Envy and Spite, the two sisters, battling each other. We have the Hounds attacking many different people. Then we have White Hounds, Light Hounds coming and attacking as well. We have Traveler and Karsa becoming best buddies and pretty much fighting with each other. And then we have this undead dragon guy that from way back coming back. And it's just a lot of things happening at once and pushing the story forward even more so. We're getting an idea now of how these gods and ascendants are coming together to battle the crippled gods' plan to have chaos overrun everything. And so this is their first step in the most overt battle of the whole book against that chaos. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Huge moments in this book that are series shattering. Hood dying is one. Rake dying is just huge for this whole series. And it was just a good book, but the philosophical things that Erikson is trying to get across to the readers is just too much. It's just way too much. And these books are huge. If you would just take out some of the philosophical writing, I feel like it would make these books so much more streamlined and better. Of course, we would miss some great lines, but at the same time, it's just so much. And I think that this is the first Erikson book where I felt like it needed to be edited and edited down at least like 100 pages because it just felt bloated. I'm looking forward to the last two books. I'm looking forward to finishing the series. It has been an amazing series. I rank it up there with Wheel of Time and Realm of the Elderlings. Malazan is going to be right there with those three of my favorite series after I finished. And it has been a great journey, but it's tiresome at times. It gets tiresome. And so I felt that with this, and I don't think I'll be reading a Malazan book that quickly in that short of time because it just was way too much. Alright, this has been a long enough video. This has been my thoughts on Toll the Hounds, which I never say right. I always said Toll of the Hounds because I think there should be an of in there. But yeah, it's Toll the Hounds by Steven Erikson, book number 8 in the Malazan series. If you've read this, what do you think of this book? What were your reactions to what happened at the end? What were your reactions to the philosophical elements? Did you think that the characters just became philosophical archetypes, ideas basically, or do you really think that these characters are their own characters? Sometimes I just feel like that Rake, Kalar, Dassam, Karsa are just philosophical ideas at times, and they're just not actual characters because it's so distracting. Yeah, the philosophical things are just so distracting at times. That's why I think that. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe.